Lesson 1.3, Video 3. So now let's take a look at a little bit more complex examples. Here we have an equation with two variables, k and j, and they want us to solve for k, which is right there. Now we really must be masters of algebra, which you've been working on your whole career here now, and we have to come to the point where we are comfortable with solving equations. So we have to look at this carefully and say, okay, well, how do I get k alone? Well, I can't add 2 to both sides because I have to do my order of operations in solving before I can do that part. And that requires me to multiply both sides by 5 first. Now, if that doesn't make sense, you could also write it this way if you are confused with a fraction equal to a non-fraction. In this case, you could multiply both. You just do the cross product, and that would give you another similar scenario. Both are a good first step. Both get you to the same place. So back to what, and it's up to you which one you want to do. But back to what I was doing, I multiply both sides by 5, and I get k minus 2 because the 5's cancel, equals 11 times 5, which is 55j. Again, we're solving for k, so add 2, and k will equal 55j plus 2, and that's a j. So this literal equation now is solved for k instead. Next one, we're trying to solve for t, so we want this alone. Now notice that I could distribute the t, but that wouldn't help me any because I would get tr plus 4t. I've complicated the problem because t would show up twice, and I want to get it alone. I don't want to create more t's. So in this particular case, our best first step is to notice that it's t times the parentheses. So I'm going to divide by what's in the parentheses. And that undoes the multiplication. And that leaves us with 28 over r plus 4 equals t. And that literal equation is now solved for t. Our next one, here we want to solve for y. So here's our y. So how do we get y by itself? So in this particular case, I will minus the x, and we will get negative 2/3 y equals 12 minus x. Now, how do we move this? There's a couple ways to do it. One is I can multiply by the reciprocal, which is a negative 3/2, and that means I will end up with y on the left side all alone. On the other side, I would accept negative 3/2 times 12 minus x. If you wanted to, you could distribute that, but this is fine for what we're trying to do today. Solving this little equation for y. In our last example, we're trying to solve this equation for q. And now notice that the q is in the parentheses. Before we had to solve an equation with something on the outside of the parentheses. But again, the question is asked, should I distribute the a or not? Well, in this case, you can try either one and see how it feels. I would recommend to divide both sides by a. When we divide by a, we will get q minus 8 equals 23 over a. If we add 8 to both sides, I would accept the answer as 23 over a plus 8. That is an acceptable answer. Again, you could distribute and solve it that way, which could give you a little bit different answer, which might look like 23 plus 8a over a. And again, that's fine also. But that's if you were to do a distribution of a, which would give you aq minus 8a equals 23, and solve it from there. So either one is acceptable. And this ends Lesson 1.3, Video 3.